Hello and welcome back to HTML5 with me, McNerd321. And today we have a slightly less colourful version of our test site. Today we are looking at links and how you set them up and tell them where to go, and head tags. So stuff that goes in that little bit of information at the front where you have the open head tag, then a load of stuff, and then a close head tag. And I'm going to be telling you what you can put in there and how it is going to help with something called SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimisation, and basically means that when sites like Google come along and ask your site what is it about, so they know when to display it in search results, your site will respond with the correct stuff and tell Google or Bing or whatever anything that they need to know within the bounds of what you want to tell them, that is. So we're going to begin with links. Now we have a simple link here. As you can see, I just tested it out, hence why it is purple. Again, you can change the colours of links with CSS. But if we click on this link, we see it takes us back to episode 2 and 3, the web page that we used for that. You see we were on episode 4 before, and if we click on that, we go back to episode 2. Now that is a fairly simple link. It just literally links to episode2.html, as we can see here within this little attribute of the link tag. Now, links are defined using the A tag. They're the first thing you'd think of, so A makes pretty good sense as being a link. Now, you'll notice down here that we also have a little piece of text that says "click me to!" exclamation mark, blah blah blah, within A tags, but on our web page it's not linked. Now that's because I haven't defined anywhere for it to go to. So up here you can see that our link begins with A, and then within the opening tag we've got an attribute. So we put a space and then href equals, and then in quotation marks or apostrophes, single or double quotation marks, effectively, whichever you prefer, you can put where you want it to link to. So I used a very simple link of ep2.html, which is interpreted by the browser as meaning we have this website up at the minute, and this person wants us to go to episode 2.html instead of episode 4.html. It just replaces the last little bit. So for example, if I change this to link to folder / episode 2, I think my slash is going the wrong way. No, it's not. That would actually then change this to folder episode 2. So just the last bit where episode 4 was would get changed. So that is something called relative linking, and it links relative to the address or path that you are at on the internet at the current time. And that is an easy way of linking. The correct way to link, when you open up your href equals and then quotation marks, you should put the whole http : / and then the whole web address. So let's link this to my YouTube channel. There we go. Now when we click on that, it should now be linked when we refresh the page, which it is, and when you click it, sure as, it takes you to my YouTube page. So that is how you define a link that goes off site. You put the whole HTTP, otherwise it thinks you want to do a relative link, and obviously this file path with www.youtube after it doesn't actually work. But you'll probably find that out for yourself if you make that mistake, and then that'll remind you forevermore to put the annoying HTTP little bit in front of your link address. Now, something else that's helpful for linking is this little bit that brings us on nicely to our next topic today, the head tags. Now here, this one you can see it's got a fairly similar attribute. It has a href attribute. Now, head tags don't normally need closing off. The exceptions are title and style, and a couple of others, but meta tags and base tags don't, and they are the most common ones to be found in the head tags. Now, base basically means that anything that you link to, unless it has the HTTP, will go there. Now, you're probably thinking that I've already said that the web browser automatically does that bit for you, so what's the point? Well, let's say you ran a website, www.me.com, and you wanted to link, anytime anyone clicked on a link on your site, you wanted it to go to www.you.com, but you didn't want to type out that all the time. So if I set this away from the current base of my site, which is the default address on the hard drive, if I set it to http://www. My actual web address, and then I change this to be something I know exists on my website, whenever we click that link now, instead of it taking us to this path /index.html, because that's the only bit we've put in here, the index.html, it'll now replace the base of the address as well, and it will take us to freezemc.com/index. So if you want all the links on your site to link to another site, or the majority of them, then that's helpful, and then only for the exceptions to the rule would you have to put the HTTP bit in. So that is an easy way of defining that and doing it all properly. Really, all sites should have this bit, even if it is to their own base address, because that is the proper way of doing things, and we like doing things the proper way, because if we didn't do things the proper way, things would go wrong, and they do indeed go wrong quite a lot when linking. Now, other head tags, that is linking out of the way. The only things you really need are the A, the href, and just remember to close it off after you want it to stop linking. So for there, I've stopped it linking after the word here, hence why the exclamation marks aren't linked, but here they are because I put the A tag after them. Always close them off. I'll remind you of that all the time. No, I won't, because I know that'll get annoying. Now, up here we have the meta tags. Now, these are what Google looks for, and indeed what web browsers look for. And they use this information in different ways. Google, for example, is more interested in these three, but it does pay attention to all of them. These are the most common ones. Now, the top one, they're all the meta tags, but they all have different attributes. So the top one basically says that this piece of metadata, which is just sort of extra information, the char set or character set is equal to UTF-8. Now that is a standard, what we call a character set, which is basically all the letters of the English alphabet, all the letters of any alphabet anywhere, pretty much. They are all contained in UTF-8 because it stands for Unicode text format. It's one piece of code with all the text formats in, and it's the 8th version of it, pretty much. You can set that to other character sets, so if your website, you only want it to ever support English text, you can use ISO standards. There's different ones around. Do a bit of Googling and I'm sure you'll find a list of which ones do what, and what they limit your site to displaying in terms of text and special characters. Now, the next one down has name equals keywords. Now, these are what Google will look for. It'll see this bit of meta information and think, okay, so what's this about? And this basically says that this piece of metadata is called the keywords. So the keywords that relate to what is on your site. So then within this piece of metadata, the content is equal to whatever's in these quotation marks. And you can see I have a comma-separated list of all the keywords that I want to be relevant to this tutorial page. So HTML, comma, space, next keyword, CSS, comma, space, next keyword, comma, space, next key phrase, because this has a space in the middle. Then we could put another comma and so on and so forth, and it would count the MCN productions as being all the same keyword. Now, down here, the next one we have is description. Now, this is can be just a block piece of text, and is basically what Google will say, this piece of text here, that is the description of that site, effectively, and basically is what it has pulled out of this piece of metadata here. So that's what that does. Now, author. You will also notice that on Google News, if I go on to Google News, you'll see that these have little bits next to them in green. Now, they are the author. Little bits of information that Google has pulled out of the site. Not all search engines do this, but Google uses it for that, particularly if it's a news website. Or you could say that the content of the page was produced by freezemc.com or whatever your website is. Either is fine, or you could put your actual name in there, or the name of whoever wrote that particular page. It's up to you, but that is a way of saying who made that particular page. So that covers those sort of 4 basic header tags and what they do in terms of Google and how they will help your site get brought up in the results under the right search terms. And we've also looked at links. The A, space, and then the attribute href equals, and then in quotation marks where you want to link it to, which ties in with the base, href equals. So I hope that was clear for you guys about links and the header tags. Any questions or whatever, just post them in the comments section and I will reply to them as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed this week's tutorial, and I will see you next week when we look at tables.